Hi there, started again. I think we lost the connection just a while ago. As I was saying, the UK state pension age is been moved, and it now officially is at 66. This was previously 65 for men, and it will eventually reach 68 and could even reach 70 by the time some of you younger guys reach the official retirement age. Of course, women used to be able to retire at 60, and that's been phased out a long time ago, and there's been protests and court cases over that, which the women lost. I think they were called WASPs, Women's Against Pension Increase or something like that. It's quite a big move. The state pension is a bit like a Ponzi scheme, really, that they don't have a fund as such. They don't have any fund to say, well, you put your money in and we'll invest it for you, and then at retirement we're going to give you a return on the money. No, the money just comes in, and the people who are retired are being paid by the people who are paying into it now. So the younger people putting their money in through national insurance contributions and tax are funding the people who are retired. So that's what a definition of a Ponzi scheme is. You remember Bernie Madoff, who made off with people's money, pardon the pun, but he took money in and he was giving fantastic returns, but it relied on new money coming in all the time to pay people that were already drawing benefits or getting interest on their money. And when that new money runs out, of course, the scheme collapses. And I think Ponzi was originally an Italian fraudster, but they're all known as Ponzi schemes. It's not to say that the state pension scheme is doing anything illegal, but if you and I tried to set up a scheme like this, we'd probably be arrested. And it's a similar thing in America. And these schemes were set up after the war here, when people didn't live that long in retirement. Most people were lucky to sort of reach 65 and may live a couple of years in retirement. I mean, everybody smoked and, lived an unhealthy lifestyle, but just general life expectancy wasn't as high. So they could say, yes, we'll give you a pension at 60 or 65, 60 for women, 65 for men. And they didn't expect people to live more than a couple of years in that, on average, into that retirement age. But of course, now people are living longer. They're fitter and healthier in general. I mean, there's still a lot of disease about, but you see people now who are 70 that look like they're 50, and they're riding bikes and going out and playing golf every day and doing active things, even jogging and running marathons. Even people in their 80s. I know people in my Rotary Club, 93 years old, still going strong, plays golf every week, comes to the club dressed in a nice tweed jacket and a tie, looks very strong, got a firm handshake. This guy is going to go on forever. And there are a lot of people like that. And so the state paying out his pension have kind of lost the bet. They thought he would be gone long ago, but they're still paying out his money. And, he's won the bet. And that would be the same thing for his... he's actually a retired doctor, so the NHS would be paying out his pension scheme for much longer than they would originally expect. And I worked for NatWest Bank many years ago, and I was told then that the average length of time that somebody lives in retirement was less than 2 years, which is incredible. So they had all this money going into the scheme, but they weren't paying out very much. But I expect that's changed now. So there's no fund, there's no investment fund. So as long as new people come into the scheme, they're okay. And this is why some people say that countries like Germany, which has got an ageing population, has said, yeah, bring in migrants, bring in asylum seekers, because they're the young people who are going to pay for older people's retirement. And these are people actually in retirement now. But definitely the ratio has changed between the number of people in work as opposed to the number of people in retirement. There are more and more people in retirement and less people in work to pay for them. And then with these jobs disappearing, how are they going to fund this scheme in the future? With millions of jobs set to disappear through artificial intelligence, robotic technology, offshoring jobs as it is happening. More people working from home using technology will eventually lead to more offshoring and the technology doing the job of the people. So it's a big problem for the government. And funding state pension schemes is an enormous cost. It makes up a huge amount of the the state budget. It costs billions. So just to reiterate then, the age at which the majority of UK retirees qualify for the state pension is now officially 66, and this has been changing for a number of years. For men and women born between 1954 and 1960, they will miss out on at least a year's state pension and will only start receiving their pension a year later at 66, and that's worth £175 a week, which is not a lot of money, but it's still something. It's thousands of pounds. What are we talking about? £8,000-9,000 a year. So they've missed that £8,000-9,000. That's gone. Plus they've missed the top ups and the state increases on that money that they would have had from the start. So it amounts to a big loss of thousands of pounds after people have paid in for the qualifying 35 years. They've paid all their taxes and national insurance. But as I said, there's no fund there. The government just uses that money on general expenditure and running the country. In fact, the amount people earn in tax and pay into these schemes over the years is not a lot of money, because you think when you start work, you're earning next to nothing, and then you build up, and eventually you peak, and then it goes down. So the scheme is not very well devised, because people are probably not paying in enough to actually give them a pension for 10 or 20 years in retirement. It just doesn't add up. If you think about the amount of tax people pay now, on 12,500, you don't pay any tax, and then you only pay a small amount of tax after that. So, if you actually add up all the tax you've paid over the years, it probably doesn't amount to enough to give you a pension for many years in the future. So just think about it. People say, I pay my tax, I paid all these years. Yeah, but that money's been used to run the country, to pay for the schools and the hospitals and the doctors and the police and the army and the roads and everything. That money is just general expenditure. So there you go. Now it gets worse for people born later than 1960. The government will gradually phase in an increase in state pension to 67, then 68, and eventually we'll probably all have to work until age 70. Now I'm going to put a link up on my Facebook page and on my blog moneytipsdaily.com, so you can check your state age, your entitlement, and when you get your money. Obviously, it doesn't mean that the state pension age is when you have to retire. You can retire any time. People retire in their 40s and 50s. Some people choose to go on working, into their, until they die, almost until their 80s and 90s. But it's just it's called retirement age. It doesn't mean you have to retire. And obviously, most people won't be able to afford to retire on £175 a week. I mean, what does that buy you? Okay, you may not have a mortgage, but you might be renting. And most people actually need some form of benefits in retirement. Most people retire pretty much broke, no savings after all the years they've been earning. They retire pretty much broke and dependent on the state. So they would get top-up benefits, maybe a housing benefit for their rent and whatever. But even if you retire and you've got a big house and you've got no mortgage, you still have to run the house. A lot of people can't afford to even heat their homes because they're in... they haven't got enough income. They're asset rich and income poor, and they have to revert to things like home retirement loans, where they'll get a loan, basically a mortgage to live on until they die, and then that loan is paid off when they die. There are a lot of schemes like that now, where people have to borrow money to heat their home, to do repairs on their home, to change the windows and the heating system, all that sort of thing. There are a lot of people in that position. And that's why when you buy a house where, say, an old couple have been living there for 30 or 40 years, you find that nothing's been done to the house. It's still from the 1970s or even older, and you have to do a total refurb on it. A lot of people like that. It's not because they don't want to do it. It's probably because they've just run out of money to do these things. Now, the pension does increase, and the Chancellor said there will be a triple lock pledge held in place. That means that the pension will increase in line with either the highest of average earnings or inflation, or 2.5%. But that's going to be difficult to maintain, and we could see that disappearing in the future. So think about this. How are you going to be able to afford to retire? Think about how you're going to be able to manage. Are you saving into a pension scheme? Do you invest in property to maybe save for retirement? How are you going to manage? Because clearly £175 a week is not going to give you very much. And you may be one of these people who have to decide whether to eat or heat or heat. Eat or heat. Can you afford to eat well or heat your home? There are millions of people like that, and the millions more are going to be like that as the pension benefit sort of tapers away. Companies now are not providing very good pension schemes anymore like they used to. So whereas people had cast iron final salary pension schemes, now they're into what is called defined contribution schemes, which very much depend on what the stock market does. So think about that. Now the other day I looked at I attended a very good webinar, and it's called How to Heal Your Money Wounds the Japanese Way by Ken Honda. And he's the #1 best-selling development guru in Japan. And he basically takes you on a journey through the webinar, teaching you the Japanese art of healing your money wounds. Because a lot of people have money issues. They think money is bad, money's the root of all evil, and all that sort of stuff. So he talks about making peace with your money, and that could be the first step you need. Maybe a change in your mindset, your attitude, and for many people, money is still a source of fear, anger, stress. Think about the arguments that went on in my house when I was a kid. When they're always arguing, my dad, I got money, I haven't got money, I'm not made of money. All these sorts of things. There were always arguments about money. It's a big cause of divorce, even. So we like to think that money is the centre of our lives, of course, but Ken challenges our belief. So he talks about more liberating perceptions about money, and delivering concrete tools to have to bring you changes, positive changes in your life with money. Just check that link out there at the bottom of the page, and you can join his free masterclass. Basically, join that free masterclass. So thanks for listening, and have a great day. Bye for now.